Hi everyone, welcome to Northern Zen Yoga. My name is Sandra, and today I have a very special video for you. My friend Joan has been very kind in allowing me to videotape her while I give her some private instruction on how to do her yoga practice and to modify some of the positions that she finds the most difficult. You can have this experience too. Keep in mind that yoga is not the kind of exercise that you do one perfect way and that's the only way it works. A lot of people get discouraged because they are not able to do what they see the yoga instructor do or look how the yoga instructor looks. But keep in mind, as I've said many times before, it's more important that you're feeling what you're doing, and if you're feeling it in the right places, then you're doing yoga. Yoga is something everyone can do. It's a progressive thing. As we practice it, we get more flexible, and as we get more flexible, the positions we can get in and out of change and modify as we go along. So, this is something you may want to consider for yourself, having a private tutelage where you and I would work through Zoom to help you be able to work on some of those postures that seem to be, no matter what you do, a little elusive. So this is Joan and I working on her private practice, or not so private practice. I hope you enjoy it. Hi everyone, welcome to Northern Zen Yoga. My name is Sandra, and today I have a very special guest. This is Joan. Joan is going to be helping me to show you how to modify some of the postures that you have the most difficulty with. Because honestly, Joan has a problem with that too. It's easy for me to tell you what to do, but it's quite a different thing to be able to actually see somebody doing the modification real time. So thank you, Joan, for helping us.
You're welcome.
The first thing I want to ask you is, right now you're sitting quite nicely in easy pose. Is that always the case when you come into easy pose?
Yes, that's about as best as I can do.
Do you normally sit up on a cushion like you are right now?
No, I normally sit on the floor and it's much more difficult.
That's right. So that's one thing you have to remember. If you're having difficulty coming into the cross-leg position, quite often just lifting up your hips makes a big difference. In this case, Joan is sitting on a cushion that is about this high, lifting up her hips. So at home for you, maybe you could use a couple of blocks that you could put under your bottom with a soft pillow over top of it or a blanket. Blocks are pretty hard. They're not very forgiving. The other things you could do is you could use rolled up blankets. If it's a really thick, big blanket, you can get a lot of lift on it. You could have a blanket and a pillow. You can use whatever you've got at home, even a seat cushion from your couch. It's just a matter of finding the right amount of loft for you to be able to allow your hips to open up a little bit easily and your knees to relax out into the position. So let's just pretend that Joan isn't having such an easy time doing easy pose. So let's come off the cushion, Joan, and see what it looks like when you're off. So you're still pretty good. Knees are still high. That's okay. This part of the easy pose will become easier with time as your hips start to open up. You'll see that this will be able to relax out. So if you're still sitting up pretty high like this, that's okay. Don't even worry about it. This is just time and practice is going to get the knees down toward the floor. If you can't get this close, and I'm just going to ask Joan to show us what that looks like. Just stick your legs out a little bit further. Now you told me too, Joan, that you have one knee that was a little less forgiving than the other knee.
Yeah, my right knee. My right knee, I have a hard time bending. I get to a certain point and it feels like it's going to break or snap. There's so much pressure in it.
So right now, that's probably at the angle that you feel
comfortable,
that's where I start. But past that?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just extend our legs out a little bit more. And for example, Joan probably doesn't have as much problem with this one. So I'm going to ask you to bring this foot in toward your body.
Okay.
And let this one relax out. So this is also easy pose.
Okay.
If bringing your heel in toward your body starts to cause pain. In yoga, we like the achy stretch. We don't want to go toward pain. Pain is an indicator that there's something bad going on in any of the joints or your muscles. So rather than going into pain in the knee to get it closer to you, just work with the leg that is easier to work with and bring your heel in until you start to feel less achy stretch and more pain. So if that looks like being way out here like this, because even starting to bending more is going to start to have that sharp pinching feeling in here, then that's where it is. It is what it is. And if it's not here, well, then just keep bending the knee until you hit that point. You don't want to go into pain, ever. So make sure, Joan, you never feel pain, even in this position that you can drag yourself into.
Right? Okay.
The same thing goes for me. If I start to feel pain in any of the postures I go into, I either modify them or that I take that one off the list. That one I don't do. Okay, so the other thing that people who have knee issues often experience difficulty with is child pose. So I'm going to show you 2 variations of modifying the child pose so that you would be able to not go into pain in your knees, but still get a little bit of the benefit of the back curve. In child pose, the real benefit, besides stretching some of the tendons that are up in the front part of the thighs, is the back. You're curling your back in order to bring your head down toward the floor, opening up the vertebrae and allowing a little space to come in there to help alleviate pressure into the disc that happens just with standing and walking and gravity. So I know you told me, Joan, that you have a little bit of difficulty.
Yes.
You want to tell me what the difficulty is?
Is when I get into the certain bend and I start to bend my knees closer, get my bum closer, that's when I feel the pressure in my knees and I can't get down there.
Okay, so let's just have a look at what that looks like. I'm just going to move a few things out of the way.
Okay.
So that you have some space here.
Okay.
So you want to
go this way?
In this direction.
Okay.
Yes, so we can see you sideways.
Okay.
So
show me what to do.
Okay, so start pushing back toward your heels.
Yeah.
Go as far as you feel you can without pain starting.
That's about as far as I can go with my right knee. My left knee feels fine, but my right knee is where the pressure is.
So we're going to take a block and we're going to put a block here in front of her face so that she can drop her forehead down. How's that feel?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so you can see that the angle that Joan is on, it doesn't look like some of the pictures you've seen of what child pose looks like. But I want you to describe, if you can, with your head down on that block like that. Do you feel a stretching in your back at all?
Yes, yeah, I do. Yeah, I can feel the stretching out because before I started, I could, you wake up and you're all kind of tight and stiff, but I can feel it stretching.
Good. That's what we're going for. That's the actual benefit of this particular posture. Anything else past this is fluff. So the reason why you see people getting deeper and deeper into this and coming into where they can sit back on their heels, put their forehead on the floor without lifting up their bottom, it's just to keep getting that stretching sensation. Now I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to come in front of you for a second. I'm going to ask you to start pushing back and lifting your head up and coming into what we call hero pose. Okay? Just start to put your bum back and lift your head up.
Okay. That's about as far as I can get.
Okay. Can you come up into a upright position from here? Or no? Just tell me no if it's no.
No, I can't. No.
Okay. That's good. So if you're asked to go into hero pose, if you watch me do it, looks like this. The sitting upright position. Sitting back on my heels, and my shoulders are level to the back of the wall here. So in the case of people that have difficulty with the knees, I want you to consider this your hero pose. As time passes, you'll find that as you begin to stretch the muscles that are in the front of the leg and are able to come into a more upright position without feeling the pain in the knees, you can start to take the block away. So all I've done is I put a block here just between her heels and her bottom, just to give her a point to where she can relax back into, otherwise we would be relaxing back into the heels. So how does that actually feel, Joan?
No, it feels good right there. And do
you feel a little bit of tugging in the front of your knees?
A little,
the muscles in the thighs?
Yeah, a little bit, but nothing extreme pain or anything like that.
So this is really the only thing we're looking for. We're looking for this stretch right in here. And when I began doing this, I couldn't come back as far. I would just put a rolled up blanket onto my heels. So I didn't have the same difficulty getting into the upright position. It was just the sitting back on the heels position that became the problem. So as long as you're feeling in the front part of your thighs going into the knees itself, a little bit of a stretchy, achy sensation, you're doing the hero pose. Thanks, Joan. Okay, I'm going to take that away. And now I'm going to ask you to come onto your back. And I know that's going to feel really terrible.
Okay, so lay on my back?
Yeah, just roll any way that you can gracefully get down there. I'm going to give you something to put your head on.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to start with a block. Okay. All right. So the other way you can get the benefit of child pose is to come into a position where you have your spine slightly curled on your back. So the reason why I put the block there is so that we have a curvature of the spine, so the head is up slightly, so that we have a little bit of stretching happening in the neck. The chin is coming toward the chest. And I want you to see if you could bring your knees up toward your chest.
Oh, like this?
Yeah. So how's that feeling?
Yeah,
you feel a stretch in your back?
Yeah, right in here.
You can also tuck your chin a little more if it starts to feel too much on the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now this might be hard to hold, so just can you hang on?
Yeah, for a second? Yeah.
So if you're having difficulty getting the knees up, you can lift them up, but you can't keep them up there. You're going to give yourself the benefit of a strap.
Oh.
So using the strap, just placing the strap just on the arches of the feet. So make sure you're not putting it, got that wrong. The balls of your feet. Just get up a little higher so the balls of your feet are not, are touching the strap here and not the arches. Putting too much pressure in the arches is not good. Sorry about that. Okay, so you can see that Joan is able to hang on to the strap, even start to pull the knees just a little closer.
Yeah.
If you find the block is just not the most comfortable thing to use on the back of your neck, you can start to change it up to doing things like a little more firmer pillow, something that's, or if you've got a bolster, a round bolster or a square bolster, you can use that as well. But what you do want is the chin tuck, because that's where you're getting the back stretch. Okay, you can relax on that, Joan. Let's put your head down just a little lower now. Okay, I'm just going to put another pad under you. There we go. Okay. Now, sometimes one thing that people tell me, and I don't know if you're experiencing the sensation now, is that when they get down onto their back, like in this position that Joan is in right now, they feel nauseated.
No. Fine.
Now, this happens quite often, and it's quite natural. It's got more to do with your equilibrium in your ears, just getting used to the change in the position of the body. So if that happens to you, and I've had people tell me that they stopped doing yoga because if they had their head in a lower position, either laying down or putting the head down toward the ground, like when we're in a standing pose and we do a forward fold, that they've actually quit doing yoga because of that. So what I'd like you to do if that sensation happens to you is to just take several deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, and then in through the nose and out through the nose, and just alternate that. And it's the same thing that you would do if you were feeling nauseous at any time. So just put that into practice for a couple of breaths and you'll see that sensation will totally go away. So one of the things that Joan told me she experienced is a little bit of pain, and she's getting some physio for it, in what's called the SI joint. The SI joint is a hinge joint that's in the back of your pelvis, and if it gets pinched, or it's a nervous pinch there, or even some of your tissue, your fascia, is pinched into that particular joint from just moving in a certain way, and the misalignment happens, they can cause you a lot of pain, and the pain will often radiate down from your back, around your hip, and down towards your knee. So this is just a little thing you can do when you're experiencing that, or if you do it quite frequently as part of your practice, it will help you to prevent that from happening, because you'll always be stretching out just a tiny bit those joints. and then you'll be able to keep that part of your body a little more flexible. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to squeeze the block and lift your knees just so your feet come a little bit off the floor, and then drop it back down again. But make sure you're squeezing the block. And then drop it down. Lift again, squeeze. So you should do this about 8 to 10 times. And I don't know if you can feel the sensation, Joan, but you sort of feel a little bit of sensation across the back of the hips where it feels like they're opening up a little bit.
Yeah, I can feel it right in here.
Yeah. Okay, can stop. And the other thing you can do, if lifting up the knees is just not going to happen, you can just squeeze, really squeeze it in. It's like it's your life depends on it. Squeeze. So we want to give it a real good squeeze, and that will also just open up that little bit of a joint there. And hopefully, by doing that, you'll loosen up anything that got pinched, or at the very least, you'll start to strengthen the muscles that control that area, so it's not so loosey-goosey and able to pinch things easily.
That's amazing. Whoops.
Oops. Okay, you're gonna get to a sitting position if you like. Is there any other thing that you've been having difficulty with that we haven't talked about?
I'm just trying to think. I think the same positions where we do this with our leg. I don't know what it is. And then,
the half butterfly.
Yeah, I find it's okay this way, but same problem with the knee.
Okay. So when you go to bring the knee in the half butterfly, okay. So this side, and the half butterfly should be done so that you're right in front.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So keeping in mind that the whole purpose of doing this forward fold is not about your knees. So if your knees are experiencing pain or difficulty here in position, and this is not the bad knee, so we're just going to go do this together just for the other purpose of this particular stretch. You can always modify this, and I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. But remember, this particular stretch is a stretch for your back, and it's a stretch for the hamstrings. So what this knee is really doing is really not important. It could be way up like this if it was a condition of you not being able to open your hip enough. The thing to remember is when you go into this position is that you lengthen up through your spine. So you lengthen up, so lift up the rib cage, and then you push your belly down. And it doesn't matter where your head is. So just push your belly down. Don't try to push your head.
Okay.
Your head isn't important. It's your belly. So you're pushing down, and you should feel a pulling in the back of your leg, which is your hamstrings. So a lot of times tight knees have a lot to do with tight hamstrings. Tight IT band, which is the same sort of mechanism that's coming from the back of the hip, coming down, and it sort of runs down your leg and it lands just below the knee joint. And when these things are starting to get really tight and atrophying, it causes pain in the knees and the hips. So when we go into this stretch is to just strengthen up and lengthen up the hamstrings, and also a muscle that's in the back of your hip that attaches just underneath your glutes and comes up under your rib cage. Can you feel that muscle here in the back?
Yeah.
Okay, come on.
Yeah.
Let's go the other side, the side you have a problem with. Okay. So don't try to pull it in.
Okay.
Just find your place where it's achy.
Okay, that's about it.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not bad, Joan.
No?
That's not bad, no.
Okay.
No, when you told me you couldn't bend it that much, I was thinking it was a lot less than that. So it doesn't even matter if you couldn't even get it that close.
Oh, okay. That's good to know because I always thought...
Because really this stretch is about this leg now. So we switched legs, same thing applies. You just lengthen up, lift up your rib cage, lift up your chest, and then start to push your belly down and keep your head up to keep you honest. Because what happens if we start to bring our head down, we start to round the back.
Oh, yes.
And we're not pulling that muscle anymore. So we're pushing the belly down just as far as we can until we feel the hamstrings talk to us. And when they talk to us too loudly, we stop. And you're going to feel your back also stretch.
Mhm.
And then push into the ground, slowly come up. The other thing I want to make a point of is that whenever you're doing forward folds, especially in a seated position, you need to use your hands and your shoulders to push you out of that particular stretch, not your back. Don't use your body, your back muscles to lift you up because they have just been compromised slightly. So you don't want to put the pressure on them. They're not in the right place to lift you up.
That's good. It's really interesting for you to show me these because what I always kind of gave up doing those other poses because I thought I wasn't doing them correctly. So I would think, okay, I'm not going to do this because I'm not doing it correctly. But it's very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people have that attitude that if I can't do it the way that I see the instructor, I don't look exactly like the instructor, then I'm not doing it right. But my thing I always tell people is that if you're feeling it, you're doing it. And the important thing you have to figure out is, am I feeling it in the right place?
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to, is that to know where you're supposed to be feeling it so that if you're not even anywhere close to looking like the instructor, but you're still feeling it in the right places, you know you're still doing it correctly. The other thing I'd like to show you, for those of you that can't get down onto the floor, is how to do the child pose in chair pose position.
Oh, okay.
Now, chair pose is a really good alternative to using the chair for yoga. Is a really good alternative to getting down on the floor. I use chair if I'm in a place where I can't use the floor because either the floor is too dirty or there's not enough room to put a mat down, and I really feel like I need to have to get myself into some kind of stretch. Maybe I've been sitting in an airport too long or something. So chair is a really great way to modify a yoga practice and get a lot of the stretches that we're going for, but without getting down onto the floor, which for some of you I know is really hard to do. It was hard for me to do when I first started yoga. I used to have to sit by a wall so that if I got down, I could get back up again because that was the second problem.
Yeah, it is hard. Yes.
Getting up again. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a chair.
You want me to get up?
And you can start working.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn the chair this way so you can see Joan's body when she goes into the posture. Okay, so sit down, have a seat. So child pose. You're going to just have your legs at a comfortable angle, about 90-degree angle.
All right.
Feet not too far apart, not too close, about hip width distance apart.
Okay.
You're going to inhale, lift up through your ribs, and exhale, start to bring your belly down to your lap. And you're going to reach underneath your legs, and just use your legs for some leverage to get you to get into the curled position and start pushing your chin into your chest a little bit. Drop your head down. So you should be feeling right up here a little bit of a stretch. Okay? Good. Slowly come back up again. And I'm going to show you now how to do the stretch for the SI joint. So you're still going to do the same thing as you did before. You're just going to squeeze with all your might into the block.
Okay.
Relax, squeeze. And the squeeze should last a few seconds. You should really squeeze it for maybe 5 seconds at least. And then relax.
Okay.
And one more time. And do this 4 or 5 times. Okay.
And that helps it suck really up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep. It just spreads it out a little bit. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do, because we did do that half butterfly, is we're going to do the half butterfly with the chair.
Oh.
So it doesn't matter which leg you'd like to start with.
All right.
Extend one leg out and rest on its heel.
Okay.
So the other thing you can do is if you get to this point and you find that you can't quite get your heel to the floor because you're a little shorty and the chair is too high or something, like that's how you have your block. You can rest your heel on your block too. And also too, if you find that the leg is way too far down, you can also use the block on any of the sides to elevate the leg to make it a little bit closer. So just like before, now this leg, we're going to bring it out to the side. We're just going to let the knee, just relax it to the
Okay.
side.
All right.
Inhale up, lift up through the rib cage. Exhale, start to bring your belly down toward your thigh. Now you're going to grab under the seat of the chair for support. You feel the hamstring stretch?
Yeah, right in here.
You feel your back
Yeah.
engaged?
Yeah.
Okay. So as long as you're feeling those two things, hamstrings and back, you're doing it. Okay, come back up. Now switch sides just so you even out. And breathe. Don't forget, breathing is so important in yoga. We tend to hold our breath when we get into a stretch especially. So make sure you're always breathing through it.
That's a really good reminder because I do that all the time.
Okay, come back up. Fantastic. And there you go. So Joan is pretty tall, so she's not having any difficulty getting her feet to the floor. But if you did, this, I'm just going to show this. You can either have one block with both your feet planted down, or you could have, if you have two blocks, you can have a foot on each block. So that just helps for people who have, like myself, who aren't too tall, and when they sit in a chair, their position in the chair for their legs is a little bit different. Okay, cool.
That's awesome. That's great.
All right, so I want to thank you all for watching today, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks, Joan.
You're welcome.
Okay. That's it.
That's great, Sandra.